would like to welcome everybody here this evening. Ladies, gentlemen, council members, city officials, and also our home audience. This is the March 12th City Council meeting, and we do have 9 items on the agenda tonight. Actually, we only have one new one. The rest of them are all second and third reads. At this time, if you would, Mr. Paulson, please continue with the roll call of members.
Corcoran. Fairchild.
Yes.
Florima. Here. Hines. Here. Kearney.
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Patrick.
Here.
Kroll.
Here.
Patton. Here.
Do we have a motion to excuse any of our absent members? Yes, Ms. Neal?
I have a motion to excuse Councilwoman Corcoran.
I have a motion to excuse Ms. Corcoran, seconded by Ms. Kearney. Roll call on that motion, please.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florima. Yes. Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Patton. Yes.
And we have excused Mrs. Corcoran this evening. If everybody would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the minutes from the previous meeting have been distributed for review. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes? Mr. Hines, motion to accept?
Yes.
And seconded by Mr. Florina. Roll call on the motion to accept the minutes.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florima. Yes. Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Patton. Yes.
And we have accepted the minutes from the last meeting. At this time, we have reports from our committees. Who'd like to go first? Mr. Kroll.
The Finance Committee has one item on tonight's agenda. That is item number 9, which is to appropriate $12,198.41 to cover brought forward and carry forward monies that were excluded from the 2017 appropriations to the 2018 budget. And at the appropriate time, I will ask that we waive the 3-read rule. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Next. Ms. Neal.
Thank you, President Arnold. The Development Committee has one item tonight. It's item number 2 for the third read. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor to support an agreement with the Three Amigos, Chillicothe LLC, providing for a community reinvestment area CRA tax exemption of 75%. This original reads for 15 years. I have the substitution resolution here that amends that to 12 years. So I'd like to make a motion to amend by substitution the resolution, the previous resolution, and the attachment.
I have a motion to amend the resolution that looks to change from 15 years to 12 years, seconded by Mr. Florina. Roll call on that motion.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florima. Yes. Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Patton. Yes.
We have made an amendment to that motion to be, amendment to that legislation to be read this evening. You've got to stay at third reading. That's not a major enough of a change.
So we'll read third tonight.
Yes.
So this will be third reading tonight.
Correct.
Yes. Anything else, Ms. Neal?
Yeah, that concludes my report.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Anybody else has a report? Mr. Patman?
Thank you, President Arnold. Engineering Committee has 2 items on the agenda tonight. The number 1 item, third reading of the rezoning of the property on 1285 Western Avenue. Also, number 3, up for a second reading. And this has to do with the traffic signals and changes around the new schools on Arch, Chestnut, Cherry, Mill, and Allen Avenue. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tatman. Mr. Hines?
The City Services Committee has two items on the agenda, and they're item 4 and item 5. They are annual things with the Solid Waste Management Plan and the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program for salt. They'll go 3 reads, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. Anybody else? Yes.
Um,
Ms. Fairchild?
Thank you. The Human Resources Committee has one item on the agenda for a second reading, and that's item number 7, to amend section 131.02 of the codified ordinances, which deals with the Civil Service Commission and the compensation for those commissioners.
Thank you. Is that all?
That's it, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Fairchild. Anybody else? I have 2 more. Mr. Farima?
Oh, yeah, well, Safety Service Committee has 2 items. Number 6, to appropriate $20,039 for the purchase of 6 driver feedback signs for traffic control to be used throughout the city. And number 8, to amend section 138.04A of the codified ordinance in the city of Chillicothe. That is to change the number of nuisance abatement board members from 6 to 5, reflecting the current number. And both will go all 3 reads. Concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Farima. Anybody else have any other committee updates that they'd like to do with the report? Yes, Ms. Patrick?
Just want to announce there'll be a Utilities Committee Wednesday, March 14th at 6 o'clock, and it is to discuss the decision of the Utility Rate Review Board as it applies to water and sewer rates.
Thank you. Any other committee updates? Yeah, Ms. Curran?
Yes, I would just like to announce also on March the 14th, directly after Ms. Patrick's meeting, that we would have a Community Affairs Committee. We'll have a request for legislation to accept a partnership agreement with the city and Ross County for the application and administration of the Community Housing Impact and Preservation CHIP program.
Okay. Just to let you know, you're kind of going to be in line.
Yes,
She announced it first.
right,
We have city services that's going to be actually after her meeting.
yes,
And then you're going to be after city services. So
Yes.
we'll have 3 meetings that night. That is this Wednesday, the 14th, starting at 6. So for all 3 of those meetings.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I already have it rated in, so you're good. Any other reports? If not, we move on to our mayor, Mr. Lee Feeney. Good evening, Mayor.
Thank you, President Arnold. Thank you for these comfortable chairs.
You like that?
Yeah, it's nice. Speaking tonight on a couple of the items that are in front of you, especially on third read, I'd like to speak in support of item number 2, which is, I believe, the second time in probably the past 5 years that we've utilized Community Reinvestment Act abatement, tax abatement provision, and I think it's been a learning process. It's somewhat complicated. I think everybody involved has learned that, but I do think that as we saw with the Carlisle building, these type of incentives are important to getting things done, and seems to be a win-win situation for the city. So I would support your favorable vote for that tonight. I was in a meeting with the commissioners today, and item number 4, the solid waste management plan, came up. So if there's no opposition, passing it tonight on second read, I would support. I haven't heard any questions or controversy on it. I don't think that there's any urgency on this, the cooperative salt purchasing, but I would support, especially the solid waste management passing tonight. Just an update on some of, a couple roads in town. I updated you on recently, just want to keep council informed. That would be Applewood and Carlisle Hill. Some pretty nasty conditions on very recently paved roads, which is very frustrating. The weather conditions make fixing those patches, sections, even more difficult. But we're in the process. We've already had estimates done, and we're hopeful that first good weather we get, we'll have to buy that asphalt from a place up in Columbus and get it down here. But it's deteriorating to the extent that it can't wait for the summer paving season. If there are any appropriations necessary from council, we'll come to you on those. Probably can fit within the parameters of the already appropriated summer paving money, but just want the public to know that we are well aware of those issues and moving quickly to remedy them. And then just an update on Redneck Avenue yard waste site. I know neighbors and phone calls, and it's been a popular topic, maybe an unpopular topic. We have multiple quotes for council to look at, review, and hopefully find a remedy from within those options. There's a variety of options, somewhat complicated and expensive process, but we're eager to make that option available to the public again. Very soon we'll be coming with our proposal or our plan for waste pickup this summer, which should help alleviate some of those problems. Want to announce too, in addition to or relative to that, a reminder that we are doing large item pickup again this year. I believe we put in front of council our request, if it hasn't already been approved, for a community yard sale weekend. That is proposed to be the first weekend in June, and then large item pickup this year will start the week of June 4th and go 5 weeks, just like we've done in the past. First week being Monday trash week, so on and so forth. Second week being Tuesday trash pickup week. Happy to provide that service. We're also going to have a city equipment auction this year. It's been a long time since we've had one of those. We've been doing some of it online. One of the things that people that did our facilities study told us is that they have not often seen a city with as much junk as we have to get rid of. And so we are going to be doing some spring cleaning of our own. That auction will happen probably mid-June, but we'll keep you updated on that. And then the last thing I want to offer is that on these committee meetings when they get scheduled, I know oftentimes the administration or representatives from any other branch are not necessary at the meetings, but if we are, please maybe coordinate with us or try to, or if you need anything for those meetings, please try to get with us in advance, because in recent weeks I haven't been able to attend a couple meetings, and I haven't known for sure if you wanted me there or not, but oftentimes I think we're able to provide some valuable insight. Jeff Carmen's out this week and won't be able to attend Wednesday, and it'll be tough for me to make it too. So if there's any, for this Wednesday's meetings in particular, if there's anything that you need from administration before those meetings, please feel free to let me know. And then just going forward, I don't need a special invitation or anything, but happy to coordinate to make sure that I can attend, because I do like working through those communities. So with that, I'll conclude my report.
Thank you very much, Mayor Feeney. We move on to our auditor, Ms. Crystal Spetnagel.
I have one item on the agenda tonight, number 9, to appropriate $12,000 to cover board invoices. I ask for your support to waive the free rule on that. There are several invoices that need to be paid. One's for the police department for $3,000 for prior year uniforms, and then for some computer equipment purchased by municipal court for $9,000. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. And our law director, Ms. Sherry Rutherford.
Thank you, President Arnold. I handed out opinion request forms to council members and administration. We kind of revamped it just a little bit, and if you have a request for an opinion, we'd ask that you use the cover sheet. That will help get you on point and get us on point so we understand exactly what it is you're asking for. Sometimes that's half the problem right there, and maybe not have to facilitate so many calls back and forth. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rushford. I don't have anything to report. I will later on announce meetings and read through the ordinances at my time, but right now I don't have anything to report. We move on to audience participation. I did put a sign-in sheet over there for anybody that wanted to speak. However, I didn't see anybody sign in. Anybody here is more than welcome to talk. To our Rule 21, it does limit you to a 5-minute presentation, total of 15 minutes per subject. I will try to give you a wave or indicate when you have about a minute remaining so you can wrap up your presentation. We do need, if you do want to speak, we do need your name and your address. So if anybody'd like to speak, the microphone there is open to you. Anybody has anything to say? Not seeing that? Then we move. Yes. Come on up.
Sorry, I didn't know I had to sign in.
That's all right.
Do you still want me to sign in?
You're fine.
Speak up so I can get your name and address.
Sorry, my name is Danielle Tucker. We live at 128 Rio Drive here in Chillicothe. My husband and I own Our Kitchen on Paint, and we are here speaking on behalf of our personal concerns and business concerns about the Feast of the Flowering Moon. We like the feast. We think it brings great things for our community. Our concern is what it does to our business, and not just our business, everybody on Paint Street and Water Street. I spent the last couple weeks going around and getting some written opinions and feelings from personal business owners and how they feel about it. It was the same for every business that I went to. Everybody likes the feast. They like what it does for our town. What they don't like is what it does to their business personally. Most businesses, 95% of them close starting on Thursday, and starting on Wednesday when the streets close, they see a 99% decline in business. So your regular guests are not able to come in. We all feel that it's unfair for this to be put upon us from a business standpoint. So we would like to see, we know there's been some changes implemented from last year to this year as far as the vendors being down the center of the street now. The stage has been moved closer to 2nd Street, parking to the parking lot that's connected with Christie's is now available on Water Street, but that still doesn't allow the typical traffic to come on Paint Street as far as our guests. Parking, handicap accessibility, delivery, any normal incoming, outgoing traffic. Typically the streets are full of people walking, so our normal guests actually just completely abort the whole area and don't come downtown. The only people that you actually see during the feast are people that are coming there for the feast and not for any of the business owners or anything that we provide to the community on a normal day-to-day basis. We would like you to seriously consider moving the feast off of the streets. We would like to see it in the park. There's plenty of room. I know that I hear there's an electrical issue. I also know that I've been to plenty of events in the middle of fields where there's no electrical poles or electric anywhere near, and they've been very successful. So I think it's a matter of putting our heads together and getting something done with this. That's all.
Okay. What is your business?
We own Our Kitchen on Paint Street.
Our Kitchen. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. President, I'd like to
Yes.
speak as well. Sorry, I neglected the sign-in sheet.
No, you're all right. You don't have to.
My name is Sheldon Andrus. My wife and I reside at 105 South Paint Street. I just want to stand in agreement with Danielle and Cody. Actually, we've never actually formally introduced ourselves to each other, but I agree with 100% of their sentiments as it relates to businesses downtown in the Feast. My wife and I are new to Chillicothe. We don't have a long history here, but we are familiar with the Feast through probably the last 2 years or so. Many of you may not know, but we also own, in addition to the Madison on Paint, we also own a new restaurant opening in 12 days called OMG Rotisserie, which sits at the corner of 2nd Street and Paint Street, actually across the street from our kitchen. So we have a vested interest there. 100% of her comments and concerns to our business are completely valid. We see the lack of balance as it relates to city businesses and the people who have invested money and finance and their time and energy into revitalizing downtown to lose out on that business for a week. Speaking very plainly, we can't afford to close for a week. So that's really not an option to us. So being open and assuring our usual flow of customers and sales is paramount during that time. In addition, Danielle brought up the idea of electrical considerations for the park. We also own a food truck in Athens called the Burrito Buggy. We're very familiar with festivals and how they work. We would be happy to work with members of the Feast to figure out how to best deal with food trucks and mobile vending. It's definitely very common sense and very easy to implement, and I think there's a balanced way to do this. We agree. I want to also echo Danielle's sentiments. We, being from the outside looking in, we appreciate what the Feast does for the city of Chillicothe, and by no means are seeking to hinder or hamper their continued existence. We just want to find a common sense way to both coexist together, so that the businesses that already exist find some benefit to it, as well as the one-off, 1 week event. So just want to rise and say that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input. Anybody else have anything to say?
That's a lot.
Okay. Name and address.
Randy Davies, I'm the president and CEO of the Chillicothe Ross Chamber of Commerce, 45 East Main Street. I just want to thank these business owners of our downtown who take it upon themselves to look at issues and problems that may affect them in the future. That's something that I think a new talk that is being taken in our community. I really appreciate that as we continue to look for ways to help to build our community and make it a stronger place. The mayor and I did meet with members of the Feast of the Flowering Moon along with the Safety Service Director earlier this year to talk about some possible changes that could take place to help alleviate some of the concerns that we've been hearing for a number of years from our business owners, those who typically close during that week. We're very sensitive to the fact to know that those employees, many of them are losing income for a week. The city's losing income tax, the county's losing sales tax. It is sometimes a burden on those three entities for sometimes an entire week. I think the Feast has taken a good step forward this year to try to address some of those concerns, but I know the mayor and I did ask and kind of do a little role play of long-term thinking of what could happen in the future. Just kind of look for other alternatives, whether they're food court areas where those vendors could be moved to another area, or moving them completely out of the downtown. I know a lot of it's going to have to do with electricity and some other offerings, but you ultimately make the decision on where the streets are open or closed. So I would appreciate your cooperation also, as these folks are now stepping out to look at future activities, that you may also do the same thing to help coordinate efforts to continue with the Feast as they celebrate their 35th year this year, and then we continue to move it to what it used to be and continue to make it something that we can all be proud of. I don't know if the mayor wants to share any more than that, but yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I'd be happy to weigh in. Is there any other public? I don't want to take any of this time. I think that the Feast is an interesting topic. I hear people say what it used to be and what it is now and all these different things. I wasn't here for whatever it used to be, and all I know is what it is now. And I will say that I've attended Downtown Associates meetings. I can't remember what it's called now.
Close enough.
Close enough. I talked to Danielle last week, and I have been enthusiastic about, like Randy said, the engagement from the business owners and the engagement from the folks who manage the feast. My thought is that there are communities that have big festivals that block roads and seem to do really good things for those communities. There's a community 25 miles away that shuts down school for a week for their big shutting down of the roads. So I think that it's possible that roads closed can be good for business, but I try not to make those assumptions. And so I think that working through scenarios that work for everybody is a good idea. As it was alluded to, we've worked quite a bit with the managers of the feast this year to basically the past, I don't know how many years, there have been 2 rows of food vendors on Paint Street that essentially set up facing into the street with the backs of the vendors sort of being on the sidewalks, in essence, potentially blocking storefronts. We've worked with the feast this year so that the vendors will be set up in the middle of the road, as somebody mentioned, basically allowing 2 lanes on either side of those vendors so that access to those stores is encouraged. And to some of the vendors that I've talked to, I'm sorry, not the vendors, but the store owners that I've talked to, is I would love to see in this 35th anniversary and encourage things like sidewalk sales and specials related to the feast. Because there has been an effort made from the feast organizers, it's worth trying something once, I think, to see how it goes. And then working from here in conjunction, I think, as I mentioned to Danielle, maybe in committee to figure out what works best for everybody. Because I think that, as Sheldon and Danielle mentioned, we all know, like, and are familiar with and like the feast and want to see it succeed and our downtown businesses. And so I'm confident that in the spirit of cooperation and wanting success for everybody, we're headed in that direction. And I think I mentioned that there will be a committee meeting soon. I think that the business owners coming to that committee meeting would be helpful. This year, I don't know if we've done it before, but in addition to the committee assignment request, I put in a request for $500 to help with some of those costs that enable putting the feast down the middle of the road. Stuff to do with extending wires or getting, so the fire trucks can cross over the wires and that kind of thing, to show the city's participation and cooperation. And like Danielle said, we did some things this year that I think were relatively simple. Opening up parking that was hard to access before, opening up fire lanes, issues with getting deliveries that I had not even heard of. Now we have this open dialogue. Hopefully we can get deliveries through that sort of thing. So I was, I don't want to say surprised, but I was very encouraged by that conversation that I had with the feast folks saying, oh yeah, we'd like to be in the middle of the road, but we thought we couldn't do it. So they were receptive to that. And I think that as we continue that dialogue, we're talking about May of this year, so doing anything more dramatic than what we've already sort of worked through could be difficult. But I think long term, feast is absolutely something that should be a win-win for the permanent business owners and the intermittent visitors to the community. I think that summarizes it, Randy? All right.
That was your timer, by the way. That was Randy's. You got
Is that my 3 minutes?
Yeah, you got it.
Next time I'll assign it.
3 minutes tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll just do that one.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add to the discussion?
I understand, I think you told me you was having a meeting on the 26th concerning.
That's with Mrs. Neal. Yes, there's a meeting on the 26th that deals with food truck and vendors, and that will be at 6:30 here, and I'll make that announcement with you. I'm going to take off my hat in my position here for just a minute. Now, if nobody minds, I'm going to talk a little bit about the feast. I've had a downtown business for 31 plus years that has dealt with it, and I'll give you my take on it. I, over the years, have participated pretty much most of the time. I'm down to the point where you say most people close. I do close Saturday. That's the only day I actually close. And I have been there on Saturdays, but it does, when I work 7 days a week, it does offer me an extra free day on the holiday weekend that I take off to a place that we have on a lake. So that's the reason. But I do want to give my take on how, I've heard people say over and over about putting it into the park. What I try to do is to work with the feast is I try to showcase my business. In the past, we've restyled vehicles out front. We've displayed customized vehicles out front, given away free water. I sell remote control cars. We've gone out there and done stunts with them. So I look at it as an opportunity to bring somebody in front of my window that I normally wouldn't have. So even when I'm not there, my window is presenting to the public. I do see quite a crowd through there. I'll go down and spend just an evening and turn my lights on. Some people will mill through the business. I do know that in comparison with that and when they had the farmers thing in the fall that was all down in the park, I became a parking lot. And you talk about a problem with parking and customers getting to you. Well, we deal with it. We start telling our customers way ahead, hey, this is what's coming up in the next week or two, but listen, you can come up 2nd Street to get to us, you can do this, you can do that, and we're busy clear up through Friday. We're swamped. So Wednesday, Thursday Friday doesn't affect us, but the customers know how to get to us. But when it's in the park, I become a parking lot. The people pull up, take all my spaces, actually up and down the whole street. They get out of the car, they walk right by my business and go to the park. And I never see them. They don't come in the door, they don't do anything. It's like they walk by with blinders on. And that's what, when you put it out of the area, that's what you get, is the people aren't coming for anything that's in that area. They're going to another area. So that's something I want you to consider. And I've seen it. I saw it in the fall festivals when they had it. And I agree, this is a coordination thing between the downtown businesses and these people that are coming in. It has boomed our economy, and I've put up with it. The Gus Macker, I didn't have so good feeling with it, but it's not around. I'm sorry to see it in the economy, but it isn't. Showcase your business. You folks are in food, take flyers out. Walk around the crowd. Offer some sort of a free appetizer if you come in for a main entree. Start showcasing your business. Walk out with a sample of appetizers and maybe have some people sample your wares. It's cost, but it also generates some excitement about your business. And you've got all these new people that haven't been there. Even if you're just handing out paper flyers for menus, you've got people that normally wouldn't be there. They may not see you during the feast, but I've found in my business, they come back. I get people say, hey, you were down here for the feast, and we saw you were here and didn't know you did this. And so it sometimes works. Anyway, I'm putting my hat back on. That's all I got to say about it. So I hope it turns out to be a great one again this year. Moving on, old business. Anybody got any old business? Petitions and correspondence received by the clerk.
Mr. President, I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay. New business. Anybody? Okay. Committee assignments and meeting dates. We've had actually kind of quite a few assignments over the last couple of weeks. I'll try to go through them as quick as I can. City Services, a request to review 3 options for legislation to have the yard waste removed from Rennick Avenue site and when completed, continue to maintain the site with removal on a regular basis. Parks and Rec, request for legislation granting the 35th Feast of the Flowering Moon for the use of the city park and surrounding streets. Finance, request for legislation to accept and appropriate $5,480.93 from insurance received for repairs to a city vehicle. Safety Service, a request for legislation to accept and appropriate $44,680 received from the Ohio Department of Commerce State Fire Marshal from a grant to the fire department to be used for the annual fees of the Marks radios. Request for legislation to accept the 2018 replacement pages of the codified ordinances as printed by the Walter Drain Company. Utilities, a request for legislation per ordinance 22-00 and 23-00 to increase the annual sewer rate by 4%. And community affairs, a request for legislation to accept a partnership agreement with the city and Ross County for the application and administration of the fiscal year 2018 Community Housing Impact and Preservation, or otherwise known as the CHIP. And that is our assignments. Meetings this Wednesday, March 14th, beginning at 6 o'clock. We have a utilities meeting. After that, we have a city services meeting. And after that, we're having a community affairs meeting. That'll all be here in Chambers. Monday, March the 19th at 6 o'clock, we have a development meeting dealing with, that one is dealing with
That's the land donation, it's
steel property.
woods.
Okay. And also, we will have after that a strategic planning committee meeting.
That's on Monday, yeah.
That's on Monday, March the 19th. That will be our off Monday. And then prior to our meeting on Monday, March the 26th at 6:30, we will have a development meeting, and that will be dealing with street vendors, peddlers, etc. And that will be prior to our meeting at 6:30 on the 26th. Anybody have any other meetings to add to that you'd like to cover? No? Okay. At this point, we move on to our legislation. We have 9 items on our agenda. And whenever you're ready, Mr. Paulson, we will start with item number 1.
Third reading of an ordinance approving the action of the Planning Commission of the City of Chillicothe in rezoning property located at 1285 Western Avenue, Chillicothe, Ohio, from single-family residential to general commercial. Third reading.
Roll call on that legislation, please.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes,
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
And that ordinance has passed. Item number 2.
Third reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Chillicothe, Ohio, to support an agreement with Three Amigos Chillicothe LLC, providing for a community reinvestment area tax exemption of 75% for 12 years and declaring an emergency. Third reading.
Roll call on that legislation.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
yes,
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
And that resolution has passed. Item number 3.
Third reading of an ordinance authorizing traffic and signal changes in the area of 2 new city school buildings located in the areas of Arch Street, Chestnut Street, Cherry Street, Mill Street, and Allen Avenue, and declaring an emergency. Third reading.
Second reading.
Oh, was that just second?
That's second, yes.
Oh, boy.
That'll move on to reading next week. Item number 4.
It must be second reading also.
Four second reading too.
Okay. Second reading of an ordinance approving the solid waste management plan and declaring an emergency. Second reading.
Mr. Hines?
I'd like to make a motion in light of the mayor's report to waive the 3-read rule on
I
that.
have a motion to waive the 3-read rule, second by Mrs. Neal. Roll call on that motion.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
yes,
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
Roll call on the legislation now.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
And that ordinance has passed. Item number 5.
Second reading of an ordinance authorizing the city to participate in the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program for road salt and declaring emergency. Second reading.
Mr. Hines?
Once again, in light of there being no opposition to it and the mayor's report, I'd like to waive the 3-read rule, please.
Have a motion to waive the 3-read rule. Roll call on that, or seconded by Mr. Kroll. Roll call on that motion.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
And we have waived the 3-read rule. Roll call on the legislation.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
And that ordinance has passed. Item number 6.
Second reading of an ordinance appropriating $20,039 for the purchase of 6 driver feedback signs for traffic control and declaring emergency. Second reading.
That will move on to the next meeting. Item number 7.
Second reading of an ordinance amending section 131.02A of the codified ordinances of the city of Chillicothe, Ohio. Second reading.
And item number 8.
Second reading of an ordinance amending section 138.04A of the codified ordinances of the city of Chillicothe. Second reading.
Now also move on. Number 9.
First reading of an ordinance appropriating $12,198.41 to cover brought forward and carry forward monies that were excluded in the 2017 appropriations to the 2018 budget and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Mr. Kroll?
At this time, I would ask that we please waive the 3-read rule.
I have a motion to waive the 3-read rule, seconded by Mrs. Patrick. Roll call on that motion.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
We have waived the 3-read rule. Roll call on the legislation.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
And that ordinance has passed. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add to the meeting this evening, or do I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Florina,
Motion to adjourn.
seconded by, nobody else wants to go? Mrs. Fairchild. Okay, roll call on that motion.
Fairchild.
Yes.
Florina.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Kearney.
Yes.
Neal.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Tatman.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Everybody have a great evening.